In September 2021, the NHS in England published a report to say what support should be given to autistic adults and people with a learning disability in prison. To see what support was already happening and what was missing, we began to do some work with 24 prisons in the Midlands. As well as 191 staff, 93 prisoners took part. Whether you filled in a questionnaire, took part in a group session, or were interviewed by one of us, we want to thank you for taking part. We listened, and whilst we did hear some good examples of support, we heard a lot of things that need to be improved. And what you told us has given us a good understanding of what should be done. This has led to us making lots of recommendations around 4 key areas: care planning, training, information sharing, and resources. Care planning involves making a plan as to how to support someone whilst they are in prison and after prison. With some people, this might mean screening and assessment to understand your needs and getting the right support together for you.
We did see in some prisons that there was good support and there was assessment processes available to diagnose people either with autism or learning disability, but there just wasn't enough of this. There were some people in particular that told us that they'd been told to wait until after their release in order to be assessed.
Screening is so vital because it allows people to then access the support.
So we spoke to a number of prisoners who did have a diagnosis. They told us that although they'd found the assessment quite difficult, actually it helped them to make sense of themselves, but then they didn't really understand what that meant for them, and it hadn't really changed the support that they were receiving.
Both prisoners and prison staff told us of the need for more staff training to allow the prison staff to better support prisoners' needs. Overall, a better understanding of autism and learning disabilities was required.
Lots of people that we spoke to talked about the lack of understanding and awareness amongst staff around autism and learning disability. And we feel that this is really important to be improved in the future. And so we've made specific recommendations around this.
The third theme of the recommendations is about information sharing. In many prisons, information, such as a prisoner's needs or diagnoses, was not being shared with the people who needed to know it.
Lots of people told us about examples of times when there'd been a bit of information that was important about them, about their needs or their experiences, and that wasn't then shared when they went to either a different part of the prison or from one prison to another, or when they were released out into the community. And that had a real impact on people, and so that we feel will be really important to address. An example of this was somebody who we spoke to who said that every time he went to a different prison, he felt he was given a different diagnosis. When we asked him how that made him feel, he said it made him feel like 3 different people.
Resources is the final theme of our recommendation. Prisoners and the justice system suffer from a lack of resources to allow them to properly support people.
So that's things like people, time and equipment to be able to best support people.
Everything we learnt, what you told us, and all of our recommendations have gone into the report. So the NHS and the prisons can see what needs to be done to give autistic prisoners and prisoners with a learning disability the support they should be getting.
Pretty much everything that we've been saying in this is about the need to give the right support to the right people at the right time, and there were some really good examples of that. Unfortunately, there weren't as many as there could have been, and what we really need to do is to make that more likely to happen in the future.
Without you, this would not have been possible. So thank you very much for taking part and for helping us to improve things for all adults in prisons, and specifically for prisoners with learning disabilities and autistic prisoners. Thank you.